Hi, John Solari. We're back here, and part two. Now tell the audience your name.
My name is Tsulan Cooper.
Tsulan Cooper. Now, Tsulan, is that Indian or Japanese?
My name, I understand, originates from China, and I was told by someone it means white orchid.
White orchid.
And I don't know how this happened, but the other day someone looked up my name in the computer, and it came out, definition unknown. I believe there may be 7 people in the United States with my first name.
Wow.
And I looked at that definition unknown, and I felt, wow, that's actually beautiful, because that's something like what we are. I mean, our true selves is unknown. And to be able to have the palette of the stage to find out what that unknown is in each play and each night, when you give birth to something, each time that unknown takes some kind of shape. And so it was just anyway, I found that.
No, that's really heavy. I was going to make a joke, but after you said that, I forgot about it. I mean, that's well, I just couldn't go anywhere else with that. I mean, that's really, and actually that's beautiful what you said, because I mean, that's who you, I see that in you. And that's what acting is. It's that white orchid and unknown. You know, how many times do you see a white orchid? I mean, it's in the name. It's unknown.
And you know that in that unknown thing, what I find fascinating, what I love about this journey, this gift the studio has imparted, and I as much as I can take it out of the studio, and to live the life of the character, when entering these spaces of unknown, it becomes very much a teacher for me in my life. I actually feel safest on stage.
Well, it's a great place to hide. It is safe, because when you think about it, when you're on stage, it's not you, it's the character.
Yes, it's the character, and I remember hearing that all the character has is you.
Right.
And you know, in terms of the nakedness, it's a metaphor and literal and metaphorically, but to bear oneself on the stage, I feel safe with that. Not that it's not scary.
It's scary, yes.
But I feel safe with it, and the things that are discovered in that moment, whatever those moments are, it's interesting that if I can translate that unknown into something that my mind can wrap around, I can actually use those things in my daily life to be more present, to be whatever it may be, and so it's it's interesting. I don't know what the right word is, but it's an interesting relationship between the life on the stage and the life in reality. And I'm finding that my life off the stage is becoming deeper for my life on the stage.
Does it become deeper or more understanding?
Both.
Yeah.
Both, yes.
Now, when you rehearse, how do you go? What is your method of rehearsing?
I don't know that I have an absolute solid, because it's it seems in that process of trying to surrendering to what the possibilities are. If I had to go with something, I would probably lean with some of the things that Joanne Linville has shared. Martin Landau, making very specific choices. He talks about the tiger traps, and also Alan Miller with
How to rehearse.
How to rehearse has been invaluable, from giving the freedom to explore what it possibly could be, and it's from the physicality to he has a picture you know, thing. You look at a picture and you can utilize that, and it's
Bringing a picture something personal, you mean, Lenny?
yes. I mean, what is what is that?
Yeah.
And it's it always that translation between what is in the mind and how to connect with what's in the core, and allowing this to speak, even though there's a process you need to go through. I guess really I don't know how it happens.
Yeah. Well, I mean, when you rehearse, do you? I was talking to Catherine Collin yesterday on the show,
My gosh, yeah.
where I call Mother, because she really cares about a lot of things.
Yes.
And now she's under the belief she likes to know her lines before she starts rehearsal. Me, I don't. I like to explore. I like to leave it open. I always found that when you know the lines, it seems to your attention span is not that great. But if you allow, you know what the basics of the play is. I for one, I like to explore, and maybe I'll go do different things, not say the lines or this and that, or use my own until I find what I'm looking for. I don't know if that makes any sense. Do you work any way like that?
I love that. I love that. I love exploring, and I love exploring a scene without the words, and I feel that words have vibrations.
And they also have different meanings. The same word has different meanings.
And the same word has different meanings.
Feelings too.
And exploring all, at least having the explore what those possibilities may be, and the one that vibrates the most will surface with the exploration you speak of. And I love that. Sometimes there's time constraints. I was in a film called Wind Walkers, directed by Russell Friedenberg, and he was just, I loved him being directed by him. He understands theater, and he understands film, and he was able to keep me on my instinct and keep me in that space that feels so not comfortable, but like you're in a vein, you're in a track, and he was able to keep me in that. And
when you say comfortable, that's interesting, because what I hear a lot of times is you don't want to be comfortable, you want to be in the moment.
Right, and the instinct is not necessarily comfortable, because I'm finding that the instinct will vibrate, and I don't always know what it is. But learning to trust that, and to be able to work with Russell was amazing, because he reinforced my instinct. That's
the key. That's the key word there, reinforcement. Because when you get too comfortable in this, it's like I said, when people know the lines, they relax and they're not listening or whatever, and they're not exploring.
Yes.
I remember Shelley Winters many years ago. You know how someone was doing, and Shelley was talking, and the woman was shaking her head, like she was acknowledging, you're right. And Shelley said, "You are not listening to me." And I said, "Yes, I am." And Shelley said, "You're not totally listening to me." And then when you stop and you think about it, you're not totally listening, because you're talking in your head. You're answering her.
No,
Yes,
I don't go like that.
Yeah, when you say it in your head. Yeah, I understand what you're saying, Shelley. So you're not really totally listening. Totally.
This is a great point. It's always it's something that I strive to do, to really hear, but not just hear, but I just say hear through this space, to hear that. It doesn't always happen, and if it happens, I'm like, oh, thank God. But recently in one of Alan's sessions, he took me through, and I'm still processing what happened there, but I do feel like I had I had a breakthrough in that. I guess the best way I could describe it would be, and I'm still processing this, but helping me to identify something that can prevent me from listening. So I was giggling, and yes, what was that? Avoiding something, and but I was not going to stop, and I wanted to do to do this, and I wanted to continue to push through that, even though it was frightening. Push through it, and that night I had that was during the day, and I kept going, and so it opened up a whole nother level of listening for me, because if I'm going into something that I'm avoiding through giggling, whatever it may be, then I'm not hearing, and I'm not really there. So he helped open up this whole door, so to say, window, door, canyon.
Really. But how long did it take you to? How long were you going through his session before you had this breakthrough?
Years.
That's what I'm saying.
Yes.
I was saying, I mean, people think it, happens in one class.
Right.
But it doesn't. It takes time.
Yes, and he's been wonderful, because little by, he just seems to really, one time he says to me, he says, there's a lot of chaos in there. And this is true, even though, so that night we had a performance, and I was so excited. I was so wanted to get back into this process and see if where is this block coming up, and that's where feeling safe on stage, that to not hide, actually, to find places where I can be consciously aware of these places where I'm hiding, and to come through that, and to really be with my partner in every sense, here to here, that pulsing.
Right. Well, then that's what you're supposed to be.
And become one,
right.
and have that union of whatever it is that we're doing, and the physical disappears, and that's where so yes, I'm willing to be naked, because that is to get to that place, whether it's whatever the scene is called, if you gave it a name for every scene, but it helped tremendously to find what some of my habitual patterns are that interfere with the listening, and so in rehearsal process, the more those things can be identified, the more I can be, with my singing partner, and then what happens out of that, the co-creation of the two people working together, as many of those barriers that can be laid down, and that we can really be together, and then we can co-create, and what is that? And that's a whole nother discovery. It's fun.
It almost sounds like an X-rated movie.
It is that intimate.
I'm starting to get turned on here.
But it's interesting you bring that, because it is that intimate.
Right. That's what it really. It's that. That's what it's about. It's about being able. If you look at, it's amazing. When you meet somebody and you're going out, and you haven't had sex yet. There's a different way people act with each other. But once they've had sex, it just frees you so much in relationship. Well, I mean, he'll think nothing. I'll think nothing. Or you see them, they'll think nothing of patting her on the ass, or putting his hand up her thigh, or the same thing that she'll do. The things that come out of a human being before sex and after sex, it's night and day.
That's a great point. It's a one barrier down. And
it's the main barrier. It's what we're talking about acting. It's about letting that facade down.
Letting the facade down.
When we go in there as actors, you're all this way and that way, then all of a sudden you have sex and you,
And speaking of sex, that's what brings to mind is this whole energy in here,
Right.
and to through the studio, the sessions, the amazing gurus, sages, plural, to find this energy here. Hollis Starr, who has a voice session at studio,
Right.
does these really...
Voice is very important.
Oh my gosh.
Breathing is very important.
Breathing.
I forgot she's passed away now. Go ahead, still go talk about the voice. But the only one who, when we took this session, the only one who knew how to breathe was Barbara Baines.
No.
You know, when we talk, and it's just amazing how I learned many years ago, but I stopped doing it. It was taught. It's not taught today how to breathe in schools and stuff like that.
Well, I need to then sit down with Barbara Bain, who is, she once said to me, approach the character very gently, pick it up gently. There's something, I was working a couple of years ago on a character, and the Lady Aoi by Mishima, and anyway, I was sharing this with her, and she said, you know, you pick up a character very gently, and so I'm excited now to seek her out and talk to her about breath.
The breath, yeah, it's very important.
And so Hollis has a session. It's wonderful with the voice, John Solari. That probably has been one of my most difficult areas to find. But it's interesting because finding my voice has been part of this journey. But this energy down here, you know, to be able to, Hollis and John Solari, with the voice sessions, to find that energy, to actually find it anywhere really in your body. Every finger, every joint has a sound, but to find this vibration here, the core, as you were speaking of, the core vibration here, and that when that could be shared, and the boundary that's dropped. And so if one is able to get into this core vibration and work with someone and speaking from here, yeah. It seems to dissipate boundaries too.
Sure. Yeah, it's that. And the reason I put it as sex, because I mean it's easy to understand that, and people can relate to that feeling of before and after, and it's so taboo to talk about it. I mean, people, they say, what is he, pervert? Because if you go on my Facebook page, you know, I usually like women with big breasts, you know, and that. I mean, I'm a man. I like that. I think I think the woman's body is. I like nudity. Mm. You know, I if I could, I'd walk around naked all the time. You know, but I mean, I enjoy it. I don't.
Well, there is a certain freedom. Yes, and
there is freedom in it.
Yes, and finding that freedom on the stage, and then to well, you know, for your body, it's just a freedom.
And you were a dancer, so I mean, your movements are there. You know, I mean, Salome studied with Martha Graham, and you can see it in her movements when she's on stage. It's that flow, and that's what it's all. And that's another thing that's not being taught today. When I went to acting school back in 1967, all that was being taught: speech, dance, ballerina, everything. And you know, I go, you know, the ballerina part of it, you know, I didn't go there, but that ain't for me. You know. But anyway, we're gonna wrap it up. And you know, in the other show, I asked you about. You told us that in the play you're doing. What's the name of the play again?
God's Gypsy.
And it's playing at the Lillian Theater, which is in Hollywood, right off Santa Monica Boulevard. What I found was interesting when you said nuns back then didn't wear underwear. And I asked you if you looked into that. So, and I was just wondering, what was your choice? Or don't tell us, but I got a funny feeling the people that are going to see the show, if they start to look down, you know,
they weren't
during the play.
Yes. There was no such thing as underwear in that time.
That's true, yeah, and bras and yeah, well they had that.
Although the clothing is very restrictive, it's interesting, and many of the clothing is very authentic, and with there's royal ladies, and it's just so it's just been an interesting. I mean, I would love to now go to Spain, just from experiencing part of this world, the beauty of it. And yes, there's so many things I just would love to share with you. And actually, this is I'm not always this open about it.
How long is the play going to run?
Until January 12th. That's
January 12th.
January
Well,
12th,
this goes up hopefully today because I have an old computer, so sometimes it takes, definitely be up by the morning.
Okay.
But I really want to thank you, and she's a lifetime member of the Actos Studio, and the chief over there decided not to come on. He just said that he's going to drive the stagecoach. You're working on your lines over there.
And,
good for you.
Yes, and also Joel David, who's directing, and Coco would love to come back and share their insights with you.
This, for any member of the studio, observers, fan, anybody has anything to do with Actos Studio, is always welcome on the show first. I mean, they get the priority. But I welcome anyone in the arts to come on the show because everybody has something to say. And, I've had from the A list to the XXX list. No, I have. I have.
It's all valid.
It is. To me, it's all valid. And they have a way of working. And I always said porn stars could make great actors because they're willing to get naked. No, really. I mean, they're willing to go anywhere with it. So, I mean, if you can do that, for a camera, I mean, what can't you, what obstacle is left?
Yes. And I discovered a few things that I would not have known otherwise. There's some things that just have to come out of the mind and really be in the body. And
Oh, good, because you have a wonderful outlook on it. No, I mean, really, as an actor, you must be a joy to work with because you're so open.
Oh.
No, don't thank me. I mean, I'm hearing that from you. Well, the way you want to, I mean, your process is so, what it's really about, it's simple. Just do it. Mm. That's exactly, when I asked Salome, how do you do that? She says, I do the work.
She does the work, yes. I watch her and I'm in awe. I'm just like, wow.
When she did About Anne up in San Francisco, Anne Saxton, she does a one-woman show about that. The review was, if you want to know what acting is all about, go see Salome Jens.
Well, this is, yes.
And I thought, how could you get, I mean, how do you top that review? And so
I love her. I do. Every time I see her, I have to hug her and tell her I love her because I really, truly, it's.
She's good. So I want to thank you for coming on.
Well, thank you.
So and actually, this is the next to last show we will be doing in this room.
Oh wow!
And so next year we'll be back. So I want to wish everybody out there Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
And I'm not politically correct, so I say Merry Christmas.
Happy holidays.
Or I say Happy Christmas, which is they say in England, not in Europe. They say Happy Christmas, not Christmas. Merry Christmas. If you go to England, they say Happy Christmas, which I like. I like that.
Happy Christmas.
Yeah, they say Happy Christmas, and what I find, and I like. I mean, I grew up that way. I'm Italian American. Mm-hmm. Did my time, and here we are. So listen, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming on.